Welcome to the latest edition of Super Terra Meets. It's a special edition. This is a project I'm working closely with. The Terra Wolves, set to launch on Terra soon. The whole project is set around a future world, and we'll explore more about this during the call, where two tribes or sets of wolves are basically fighting each other, the Prime Wolves and the Cyber Wolves, for supremacy in a battle that will end, if you like, the Great War of the Wolves. On Set on the planet XLA 114, the wolves are set to land with an initial mint of around about 6,666 wolves. And of course, these will be split equally between the two factions. And we can talk more about, obviously, the detail behind that. There will be some additional wolves that will be arriving later, 2,222. And there will be quite an interesting mechanism to determine the winning team. And sadly, there will, of course, be a losing side as well. So we'll explore more of those. And really, before we kind of delve into the questions that are coming from the community, it'd be great if you guys could just introduce yourselves and just give a little bit of the background on, if you like, your kind of involvement in the project.
Yeah, I think we'll start with Jacob first. Go on, Jacob.
There's nothing much to talk about me, but so I go with Alias Jacob, and I am founder for Terra Wolves. And there's a bit, we can say that all the things that we do go with my flow and get things done. So can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, I just I'm afraid that my connection is not so good, but it's okay here. So like I said, there's nothing much to talk about me. So I'm just founder, and most idea is we discuss together, and we come up with Terra Wolf. I think we can go with Carl.
Before that, I think Jacob is counting himself a little bit. He's actually our founder and the one who actually proposed the idea of TerraWolves, where the initial idea did come up from him, and had a discussion on how can we have an ecosystem based on TerraWolves, right? So it all started with Jacob, really. Yeah, we're just three friends who are having fun building something in Terra network. So yeah, just a little bit from my perspective, Jacob.
Excellent. I think it's a good place to start. The fun aspect is the most important part of it, and then from that, you kind of develop the community and the buy-in and support from the kind of the world of the lunatics, as we like to call them. So that's great. Thank you for that intro. Any more to add before we start to delve into the questions from the community?
I'm not sure if what I'm about to say is actually going to be answered based on the questions anyway. So maybe we can just proceed with the questions.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So I guess firstly, obviously, for those listening to this report and interview, I should say, at a later time, obviously, thank you for all the questions that you've submitted. There's been absolutely loads, which is brilliant. We've selected about 9 different questions that really explore the project. Obviously, other questions are in the Discord as well, but I'm sure you'll appreciate there are many that have similar themes, so we wanted to make sure we had a broader range as possible. So I'll kick things off. So the first question that we have is, why are you building a launch pad when there are already 7 launch pads available in Terra? What do you think TerraWolves launch pad? What do you think that TerraWolves launch pad can compete with the others? I guess that's how can it compete is the question.
Right. The first question is actually a decent one, I think. I'm hearing my voice. Is there any leak there? All right.
I think all good.
All right.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Yeah.
From our perspective, is that there shouldn't be any limit on the number of launchpads coming into Terra or even other blockchains. Crypto, as we know it, it's still early. And if you look at Terra specifically, there's going to be more and more projects coming in. And I don't think even 7 launchpads will be enough to manage all of this. And to answer the second part, I'd say our differentiation is that we're going to use NFT as the main token, as opposed to the traditional ones where you have the tokens like the AC pad, Polka Starter, and all. This is entirely different than using a normal token. I would like to stress on why we're using NFTs. We outlined it in our light paper. We think that NFT has an artistic value. Like, if we want to take an analogy, it's like you subscribing to a golf club,
Mm-hmm.
and they give you a membership card, right? So if that membership is just a normal paper, that means the value of that membership card is actually tied to the golf club. So that means if the golf club is gone, the membership card is worthless.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As for NFTs, I'm going to put it as an analogy that it's a membership card plated in gold. So even if the golf club is no longer there is still some values to your membership cards. You can sell it because it's gold plated, right? Same goes for NFT. And that's the first one. And the other one is I think it's a better rug defense. You can't really rug when there's no liquidity really tied to NFTs. You have to actually put to the market and sell it. So it has to be a mutual agreement. You like the price, you buy it instead of a normal automated market maker, right? And,
absolutely.
Yep, that's what we think. When I think we don't want you to actually invest into something and have it slashed to 50% of the initial value overnight. That's not really a good defense or really good value you should be providing your investors. So I think NFT is the way forward.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. So we'll move on now to the second question. There seems to be quite a preference for the original Wolves. How will you manage the community if the majority prefers one half? Is this a good thing, or does it have its downfalls? And does that not show that the cyborg wolves may need some revisions? And then the person goes on to say they don't mean to be too harsh; they're just curious.
All right. I don't think this as something harsh. It's actually really a good feedback. But to answer it based on the fact is that if we look at the statistics from our Discord, you'll see that we have a lot of number of primes compared to cyborgs. But this might not be an actual reflection of which side people are choosing, because it's the first message they got when they wanted to join our Discord. So you'll have to verify, and out of habit, it's usually going to be the first emoji that happens to be prime moves. So in order to actually know whether our cyborg might need revisioning is when there is an alarming feedbacks. And as of now, we did not receive any from the communities. There's a few constructive feedbacks on the cyborgs. We did a reveal on the full set of cyborgs, and I think some of the feedback was saying the background looks a bit busy. So we're working on that. That's actually a good feedback because I think the background really needs something. I know when we designed the background, we were doing it based on our preference, but when we presented it, that's where reality hits, right? So the community didn't like it, so we have to change. That's how it works in our team.
And I think that's really good because I think part of this, and again for listeners, hearing this back, the projects and the best projects, I think, always do this: listen to the community, adapt, develop, and take on board feedback. I mean, certainly, I like the cyborg designs, and I think possibly one of the reasons why we might have seen a preference for the original Wolves is purely and simply, I think you touched upon it, that the actual cyborgs were released slightly later. But I personally like the designs. I think they're good. And certainly I've not seen anything negative about them as well. So obviously as time goes on, I'm sure that the cyborgs will start to catch up. I think having seen the full set now, I think there's some really nice ones that people will really want to own. So absolutely. So moving on to the next one, what would be a solid reason for me to get into this project and put my Luna down on a couple of TerraWolves NFTs? So I guess it's saying why would someone buy this versus another project?
So answering this might look like a financial advice. So it's better I start with a disclaimer. So what I'm about
Yes,
to
of
say
course.
is not a financial advice. Consider this something fun. We're having an informal session anyway.
Hmm.
So we all
Absolutely.
have we all have different reasons when investing into a project. You would have your standards and I would have mine. So does our project meet your criteria? That's the thing that matters.
Hmm.
But I'd say for a start, we have great art, we have awesome lore, and we have a feasible roadmap and which the use case would be DAO power and the launchpad. And this is only for a start. I think the DAO power is rightly tied to the launchpad. The more DAO power we have, the more access to the launchpad. And the idea is to have a decentralized kind of launchpad um, where our community can actually vote or which project is a pass, which project is a no. And that voting result is actually a reflection of what the market wants. Instead of the teams vetting, I think another reflection of the reality of the market would be from the community itself.
Absolutely, and I think to emphasise on that, the community makes the market, and I agree as well. Certainly, anyone investing in NFTs should do first and foremost from a fun aspect, and absolutely, we'll plaster the financial advice disclaimer, because ultimately. If it's something you enjoy, it's something you like. It's really a ticket to an exciting club, and I think that's what really appeals to me about the whole NFT space. I think it's not just about an image; it's about what the potential is, and I think obviously that potential is something we yet to sort of fully explore in the community. But equally, if you kind of treat it as a fun point of view, and I think that whoever posed the question, absolutely, where you put your Luna is up to you, and your decisions behind it will be different to other people's. But obviously, wish them well, and hope that they consider this as an opportunity to have a bit of a fun flutter, if you like, for want of a better expression, and to come along for the ride with Terra Wolves. So moving on to the next question. Could you explain further the tokenomics of the project with regards to sales, fees, reinvestments, and the overall design, how to generate yields from this project?
All right. So if the question is about our NFT economics, it's actually in our like paper. But I think the other part of the question is asking on how we manage the funds and how are we planning to generate an income to actually have a stable treasury. Um, so from our roadmap, actually we can see that the incomes that we'll be able to generate from TerraWolves, apart from the minting, will be from the buy and sell of the NFTs itself,
Mm-hmm.
since we would have royalties from the selling, right?
Yes.
And that's going to be the first one. And the second part will be from our launch pads. And this is crucial because the launch pad is the first, is part of the benchmark of achieving use case for these NFTs. And with it comes a significant amount of income sources when people will be launching their projects and we offering them the support from the community. And with it comes some fees. And these fees will be used to benefit and reflect back to the communities in many ways. For we can develop a new ecosystem, we can develop a new services. Um, I know I received some feedback from the community that they want whether do we have any plans to actually put our money in yield programs such as Anchor. But I wouldn't say yes or no
Mm-hmm.
because in order to actually put some money into Anchor, you actually have to know what are the figures. By figures, I mean what are the results of the minting and
Mm-hmm.
the funds being raised. So from that on, our team will focus more on the development and having a use case for an NFT. So that comes first. And if we actually manage to, I have confidence in TerraWolves to actually um, fill up all the 6,666 slots. But we just need to have a just in case scenario where it didn't fill up. So the idea of putting into Anchor can only be answered post-war as per the roadmap.
Of course, and obviously we all hope for a very successful mint, and that will give a great platform for future plans for the project. So thank you for that, and I would encourage listeners to go and visit the white paper. When this interview goes live, I'll put a link to that in the comments on the audio playback, so that people can find that as well and have a good thorough read. So the next one is an interesting one. I wondered this myself as well, so it's a very good question. Does a planet XLA 114 translate to experience level agreement equals XLA, and 114 being the code for service level agreement? So someone's obviously been investigating and perhaps thinking about hidden meanings. So yeah, I don't know, is that something you can cast some light on?
It's actually funny because I happen to work in this is actually a term that refers to people who actually work in support. You have what we call an SLA, service level agreement, where you need to actually honor services within a specified amount of time. For example, 3 days. So you have to honor the service in 3 days. But with regards to TerraWolves, there's absolutely no relationship between the planet name and the SLA. So that's actually creative thinking, but there's no relation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now that's a great question. I wouldn't have thought that at all. I just thought it was just like a planetary name and a kind of classification. I mean, actually, as a matter of interest, I mean, what is the origin of the name? Where did you get the idea? Was it sort of just a random thing, or is there something behind it?
It's actually quite random. We did brainstorm on what the law should be, and I think the first one the first name we came up with was XLA 114, and then we decided that we shouldn't focus much on the planets. So XLA is the pioneer one, and we stick with it till now.
Excellent.
But this question seems like there seems to be like a conspiracy theory somewhere, but no, we're actually very clear on what we're showing you guys.
Excellent. I mean, maybe there's a bit of fun to be had where people could sort of invent a bit of a story behind the numbers, but no, that's good. I quite like questions like that. I wouldn't have guessed anything like that myself, but no, that's great. Thank you. So the next one's an interesting one. There are many animal PFP projects. How are we looking to differentiate from them?
I don't know how to really answer this, but because there are a lot of animal projects, I mean, PFP specifically being launched in Terra or even other chains. But what you can see is the art is going to be different. The design is different. The narrative or the law or the story that they brought alongside the NFTs is also different. And Terra Wolves is definitely something that's not. Terra Wolves is definitely something of its own. We're not the same as Alpha, Hungry, or other wolves. I only know two wolves as of now, Alpha and Hungry Wolves, and they both have different roadmap. So yeah, the art is definitely different. So I think you can actually differentiate us from other projects when you first arrive in our Discord or read our light paper. We have a different use case and all. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think I'd add to that as well and say that the idea of the the war of the cybers and the primes is something that's very different as well. And I think each project has its own law, and like you say, the art style, the law, the kind of utility plans. Again, if someone's purely looking at it as I've seen another project with a wolf or an owl or whatever it might be, then I would encourage them to look more deeply and understand the details behind each project, and that's really what differentiates it for me as well. This is why it's such an exciting space to be in. And I guess leading on for the next question, really interesting one, because I was wondering this as well. So is it possible to mint both sides, prime or cyborgs, and what happens when one side wins? Am I automatically on the winning side because I've bought both, I think is what this person is saying, and am I entitled to the winning side bonus if I was to buy primes and cyborgs?
Oh, very good question actually. As this relates to the rewards as well as the war mechanism. So if you want to be on the safe side, it might be best to actually mint both prime and cyborg. So you be eligible for the reward regardless of the war outcome. Do note that the reward is dependent on the number of NFTs of the winning side that you hold. So I would say just mint both. Don't worry much about the war. The market will decide the war. Just be on the safe side. Act like a merchant.
Absolutely, absolutely. Play both sides. Play both sides. Yeah. Now that's great, and I think I personally would be looking to have some of each because I think it's quite good fun anyway. Again, I've seen other projects where they've had, if you like, two different groups, and it's always nice to have a few of each so that you can sort of, feel that you're part of the whole project rather than just taking one side. So no, that's a great answer. So yeah, there you heard it. There's an opportunity if you mint both sides, you're going to have an opportunity to benefit from the rewards regardless of who wins. So the next question is to do with rewards as well. What kind of long-term hold rewards are present for us? Will there be staking of NFTs to earn? Is there a plan for something to encourage people to grow the diamond hands, as they call them?
All right. When we look at it in the long term, there are actually many ways our project could benefit. For the NFT itself, you can actually earn from minting and selling the NFTs, and having these NFTs also makes you a part of our ecosystem, since you'll be bestowed with a DAO power, and this DAO power gives you a chance to access the launchpad.
Mm-hmm.
And by having access to launchpad, that means there are a number of possibilities to have an early access to promising projects launching on our launchpad. I think that's actually a big reward,
Mm-hmm.
a big benefit of holding our tokens. But if what you're looking for is a reward of some kind, like monetary rewards, then there's definitely going to be some rewards with regards to holding the NFTs. It's just that we haven't decided on what form would we be giving, as it's gonna depend on the mint result as well. And will there be staking of NFT to earn? I would say staking is going to be in almost every single platform, and it's definitely definitely in our bucket list to have an NFT to earn, and hence we actually allocate an extra token which can actually be used for these initiatives. So I think by having access and by holding DAO power actually could give a good reason for someone to actually hold on to their NFTs instead of just dumping it into the market. So hopefully that answers.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the message is loud and clear that this is not just about the initial activity of the mint. There's a lot of elements that will follow, and obviously once the result of the mint is known, that will help shape that roadmap. And I think it's really interesting as well that there's an opportunity there potentially to look at a token or other elements that will also follow. And I think the NFT to earn opportunity is something that appeals. So I think thank you for the person that put that forward. Lots of opportunities there for diamond hands. So the last of our submitted list of initial questions coming up. How do you keep the two sides in balance? What's the procedure to discourage a huge imbalance to a certain side?
All right. So there's a short-term and long-term way of. It's not really short-term. I mean, there's actually a way to manage these imbalances. I mean, but my advice is that despite the sides being at war, as per our law, I want everyone to look into what the NFT offers. You would be owning, and other than also piece of art, it might sound like a repetitive kind of thing, but you'll be having a DAO power. It means you'll be part of our ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
That means regardless of whether you're minting cyborgs or minting prime, and whether you lose or win, you'll actually be having more DAO power. So just like I said, play both sides. Just spin
Yes.
both sides and get the best DAO power you can get.
Absolutely, and I think I guess the general message there is the market will decide, and in the ideal situation, both sides have a huge mint, and there's positives amongst the cybers and the primes. So I would say thank you to the community for all the questions. I guess I've just got one more myself, really just an opportunity as we sort of wrap things up. Um, in terms of the kind of timings for the mint, do you have a sense of when that's likely to be in terms of the kind of confirmed dates and so on, or potential dates, just to kind of give the audience a bit of a view on when they can expect to get their hands on the primers and the cybers?
Okay, all right. So just between us, this the date is actually set in stone. Just that we haven't announced it already. So I'm gonna
Okay,
type it in chat. So only you would know the date now. As of now, I think the other community haven't known.
excellent.
Let me just type it. Yeah, that's the date.
So I think what we'll do there is we won't publicly reveal the date on this interview, but let's just say for the audience listening, the date has been agreed. The date will be released, and so look out for that. And I think the war of the wolves is coming soon. We've solved the mystery of the XLA 114 for one listener, and I think there's a really exciting program of events ahead. And I would encourage anyone listening to this to visit the Discord. Also, visit the Twitter, TerraWolves NFT. Again, these details will be on the audio when it's published. So please do go and visit, and also get yourself signed up to the Discord, get involved in the great conversations that are going on, and obviously, most importantly, enjoy the community, and look forward to having lots of you sharing your wolves across Twitter as when the mint goes live. I think that's one of my most enjoyable parts of any project, is when you see the actual individuals, showing off the NFTs that they've purchased. And so, any last words before we close off? Any more potential teasers for the community?
Yeah. So first of all, I'd like to say it's a pleasure for us from TerraWolves to be invited to your interview, Super Terra.
Well, thank you.
And
No,
our
pleasure
final
is all
words.
mine. Thank you.
No, it's all ours. So I don't have much last words. Just that we haven't announced them instead actually. So, but it's actually quite close. So we're seeing the TerraWolves team moving at full full power now. I mean, we're gonna give our. I mean, we're already giving our 100%. We're gonna go 100% this time because it's almost near the meeting date. But just wait for the announcement. Lots of exciting sneak peeks. The launch of our website and more reveals, as well as what the reward's going to be for our big OG and our little OG. And we still have slots left for our little OG, so be sure to grab that.
Excellent, excellent. And as someone who sort of joined the project very early, I'm very excited about the different rewards and opportunities for those two groups. And obviously look forward to the website as well. And again, for people listening to this in the future, I'll make sure that I update the relevant details in the supporting material around the interview, because obviously the most important thing for me is that hopefully people enjoy what they've heard today, and want to delve into the project in more detail. So no, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today, and very excited to be involved, and look forward to the next phase of the project, and wish you well with your full pelt working, which I have no doubt there's a lot still to do and a lot that will be delivered. So good luck with everything, and I'm sure we will all speak again very soon.
Yeah. I'll see you on the war day.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed.